Hi there. I want to talk to you today about one of my favorite things, chickens. Today I want to talk to you about the Australorp chicken breed, particularly black Australorp chickens. It's my husband's favorite. As you know, if you've been with the Farmer's Lamp for any length of time, we are divided, actually, believe it or not, in our favorite breeds. Now, I do love the Australorp breed. It's my husband's very favorite breed. The speckled Sussex is my very favorite breed. It's both for very similar reasons. I like the personality of the speckled Sussex better, but he loves the Australorp. So today I want to talk to you about the black Australorp. That this breed has one of the best feed to meat to egg ratios. That's how much feed you give them, how much meat you're going to get, how much feed you give them, how many eggs they're going to produce. They are excellent foragers, and the roosters are one of the most protective and alert to predators that I have ever seen. Um, if you allow them to forage free range, and we have a post on the Farmer's Lamp about free ranging, the pros and cons of free ranging your chickens, but not everybody can do that. But if you can, it's a great way to help cut your feed cost. You can give them mealworms, grow your own, or buy dried black soldier flies is what we do. We produce black soldier fly larvae for our chickens. I love the fact that these hens are excellent mothers. Now, here again, they run side by side with the speckled Sussex as far as being great mothers. The best I've ever seen, actually. However, um, the black Australorp has a special place in my heart as far as uh, brooding and hatching out chicks. And I'll share that story with you. Actually, it was the first speckled Sussex that we ever got. This has probably been 20 years ago or longer, actually. But anyway, they were both setting at the same time, and they were in side by side yards. And the speckled Sussex, in one of her forays of getting up and going, doing a little free ranging, because in the beginning, before they hard set, they will get up and move around a little bit. Well, apparently she came upon either a copperhead or a rattlesnake. We have both of those on the farm, and we don't know which, but she went back to her nest, and I checked on her when we went to bed, and she was sitting on her nest. So I said, okay, she's good, and got up the next morning, and she was in the same position that she had been in the night before. And I checked her, and she didn't move. And of course, she had died in the night from the snake bite. And we assumed it was a snake bite because there were no marks on her. There was no blood. There was nothing except for a swollen spot. So we assumed that that's what it was. However, she had 12 eggs. And our black Australorp hen, our favorite one at that time, her name was Mammy. She had 12 eggs. So we said, well, why not just put them under Mammy and see how many she can hatch? We kind of expected that they might not make it. The eggs might not make it, but we thought they're so early in the incubation process that maybe they will. Do you know that Mammy hatched out every single one of those eggs? And she loved them all, and it was the funniest thing to watch her walk around with 24 chicks, trying to be sure everybody had eaten. One that had a little leg problem because it was the last one that hatched. And a hen will get up when the first chick that hatches is 3 days old. She has to leave the nest because on day 3 it has to eat and drink, so she has to teach it those things. So, but that night, I think it was the first chick was like 4 or 5 days old. The last egg hatched, and it had a little bit of a leg problem because it couldn't move around like everybody else, and they were running over it and that kind of thing. But he did outgrow it. We were able to help him with that. But anyway, that's why I love the black Australorp for hatching chicks. And we have on occasion set 2 Australorp hens and then just put everybody's eggs underneath them so that they could hatch. They are excellent. As far as hatching out chicks. They have great personalities. The hens are not aggressive. The roos are. They tend to, because they are so protective of their girls. He's not trying to be mean. My or the biggest Australorp we ever had, he was very, very protective of his girls, and I had a problem. I kept an old hoe handle in my chicken yard right by the gate, so that when I went in, I would just pick the stick up. It was more for my confidence than, protecting myself from him. I felt more confident, which kept him at bay most of the time. But I did get spurred a couple of times, and I just went through the process of breaking him. And if you want to read about that process, we have an article, How to Break an Aggressive Brew, How to Prevent them from Attacking. You take those steps, and it's not a one and done kind of thing. You will have to remind him occasionally, especially in Australorp, hey, these are your girls, and I don't want your job, but I am coming in here and I am checking on them. So that takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it in the end. One of the things we love best about this is they are a heritage breed. And if you've been with the Farmer's Lamp, or you've been on the Farmer's Lamp, we are all about heritage breed animals on our farm. We feel like it's important for us. It is important to us to raise these heritage breeds too. A lot of them are on extinct, threatened lists and that kind of thing. The Australorp is an English class, a standard type. They 6 to 8 pounds is the average, with the roos being on the bigger end. Our big roos, the biggest one we ever had, he was actually 12 pounds dressed. When we had to cull him and process him, he was 12 pounds. So this is just an average. I think our average hen was probably 6 to 7 pounds. Their rarity of this breed is recovering. When we first started keeping them, they were threatened. Now they're recovering. So if you are interested in heritage breeds, we have some articles on the Farmer's Lamp talking about the different heritage breeds, and visit the Livestock Conservancy, and they have a list there of all the endangered breeds, and pick some of those when you're purchasing new chickens or when you're starting your flock, and just give them a helping hand. The purpose of the Australorp is meat and eggs. That is called a dual purpose bird. That's all that we raise because we are sustenance farmers. We're not backyard chicken keepers. And that's not good on us and bad on them, or bad on them, us and good on them. It's just the differences in chicken keepers. So we are sustenance farmers. That means whatever we raise is for our food. Okay. So that's why we raise dual purpose chicken breeds, because they are our meat, they are our chicken supply, meat supply, and eggs. Now, in the United States, black is the only variety that the ALBC recognizes. In other countries, the black, the buff, and the golden are recognized as official Australorp breeds. The name Australorp is a combination of the Australian black Orpington. Prior to settling on the Australorp, the breed had several different names, but due to the progress of developing the breed in Australia, they are now the national bird of Australia. How cool is that? That you have a chicken breed as your national? I just think that's so cool. But in the early 20th century, William Cook, he had the Orpington chick. He's known for the Orpington chicken breeds, and they are a great breed. The goal, he was trying to produce a dual-purpose bird that could make it in Australia's harsh climate. So he crossed the Orpington with the Rhode Island Reds to improve their ability to get bigger eggs. And in England, the Orpingtons were already bred to be a good meat bird. So the Australians wanted to try and breed a bird that was not only good for meat, but also was a prolific layer. So the English Orpington was crossed with great layers like Rhode Island Reds, the Minorcas, the White Leghorn, the Langshan, and the Plymouth Rocks. And so over time of their trial and error of the breeding process, they came out with this wonderful dual bird. It's great for any homestead, any backyard breed. We already talked about here in the U.S. that the blacks are the only recognized variety. They are excellent layers. They hold the world's record for 362 eggs. 347 eggs in 365 days. And that was in the 1920s. And I think that record has been broken. I may be wrong, but I believe it has not been. So like I said, they are excellent layers. They lay large brown eggs, and I mean, large brown eggs. So if you're looking for a layer they will, in extremely cold climates, they will slow down in the winter, but they do not quit laying in the winter. Like any breed, they'll slow down when they're molting, but they don't ever really quit laying. And that's just one of the things that we love about them. My best hens give me 5 to 6 eggs a week the whole year round. They, like I said, they will lay during the cold and dark of winter, unless it's extreme. Let's see. Last year before last, somewhere in there, a lot of the hatcheries suffered a lot of losses and lost a lot of their breeding pairs because of illnesses that were going around, and other reasons. But so if you're ordering an Australorp, order from a reputable hatchery. If we have to order, we order from McMurray's, or find a local breeder that has Australorp that will sell you some young hens. That's the best way to do it, to avoid the stress on shipping chicks. But a friend of ours, actually just right down the road from us, they bought some black Australorps at Tractor Supply 2 years ago now. And we were down visiting, and I was looking at our chickens, and I said, those aren't Australorps. And she said, yes, they are. I bought them at Tractor Supply, and they're black Australorps. And I said, well, 3 of them are. She had 12. And she said, how do you know that? And I said, well, their feet aren't black, and their eyes aren't black. And they had golden eyes and yellow feet. So come to find out, it was from the hatchery that the Tractor Supply had bought from. Were trying to redevelop their strain, and they had interbred and didn't do a very good job of it. I don't know what hatchery it was or anything, and I wouldn't expose them if I did, because everybody's struggling. I'm just saying, be sure that you get a real Australorp if you want to get these great results. Now, they are great brooders. We've already talked about that. So if you are ready to set a nest, when she gets 10 eggs, she's going to set. They're excellent mothers. They're very attentive to their brood. They tend to not trample their young. They're excellent teachers, and they're extremely protective. My hens they're used to me. I handle them a lot. But when they have chicks, I know not to try and handle them, because she will eat me up if I try to handle them. So just be aware of that. But they are very protective mothers. They have these black feathers that are absolutely beautiful. They're iridescent in the sun. They have a green to them. It just flashes in the sunlight. They are absolutely beautiful. They have single cones. The roosters have very large cones and wattles. They don't have feather legs. They're not crested, and they have 4 toes on each foot. And somebody might say, well, why do I want to know that? It's just interesting facts about the different breeds. And we have different breed posts on the Farmer's Lamp that you can go and see. So on the ALBC, the Australorp breed standards are: it has to have a very upright stance. It carries the tail real high. And if you've ever seen an Australorp rooster, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, they look proud. The breast is full and well-rounded, and they have a very deep, very solid body. The wattles, the earlobes, and the comb are all red. The comb is upright, and it has 7 points. Sometimes it'll have, 6 or 5, but most of the time the average is 7. There's no feathers on them. Their legs are black or a very dark bluish color. They have 4 toes. We already said that. The skin on the bottom of the foot is white, as is the meat of the Australorp. It's not a black skinned or black flesh breed. It's just a black breed. Their eyes are shiny, jet black, and the beak is very dark. It is mostly black on the end with maybe a deep yellow close to the mouth, but it may even be black all the way back. They are absolutely beautiful birds. They're very hardy. Um, the roosters, like I said, they do have very large cones and wattles. So if you live in an area where you get a lot of freezing temperatures, you may want to just put some coconut oil or something on them to protect them from frostbite if you live where it's extremely cold. He's very aggressive about his hens. So, like I said, we talk about how to break that in a post on the farmer's lamp. Now, the hens are large and the rooster's large. So this is a large breed. So when you're building your coop and you're, getting their area set up, they need at least 4 square feet each inside the coop. Now, it's better to have as much space, too much space, than not enough space if they are confined. Okay. If your birds are free ranged, then you don't have to worry about having, you might could get away with 2 to 3 feet for each bird because all they're going to be doing is coming in, laying their eggs, and going to roost. They're not going to be confined in there, which is when they need the more space. The standard perch area for this bird is 8 inches. So the standard perch area is considered to be 8 inches. Now that's going to be too tight for these birds. They're going to probably need 10 to 12 inches. So that means, what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're setting up your perches, if you have black Australorp birds, you need to be sure that your roost has 10 to 12 inches for each bird. Okay. Now, standard size nesting boxes are fine. Our nests are 12 by 12. People use, cut old tires in half, use crates, anything like that, whatever you want to use. I mean, there's no set, this is the only way to do it thing in chicken keeping. It's just part of homesteading. It's absolutely wonderful. Do whatever works for you and for your flock. But 12 by 12 is a standard nesting area, and she'll do fine with that. Now, I don't care if you have 10 hens and 10 nests. They are all going to want the same nest, and they will fuss at one another. You might get them that they lay in 2 or 3 nests. They might spread out a little bit depending on how many hens you have, but they are going to fight over this. I don't know what it is about them, but they want the same nest. So they're going to try and double up, and that you might get some eggs that are damaged, but just be sure they have plenty of nesting spaces and just let them work it out. That's what I do. They are cold hardy. We have friends up in the panhandle of Idaho that have Australorp birds, and they do very well up there. They are heat tolerant. In the deep south, we have Australorp hens, and they do very well. Of course, there are special circumstances that you have to, if you live in a really cold area, you have to protect them from the wind. You have to protect them from frostbite. If you live in a very hot area, like in the deep south in the summertime, they have to have shade. They have to have fresh, cool water. So, there are things that you have to do, but that's with any breed. They can bear confinement, but they prefer free range. And if they can fly out, they are going to fly out. The hens are docile. The roos are docile. I don't want to give them a bad reputation. I mean, they're pretty docile. But when it comes to protecting their girls, they can become a little aggressive. So they're excellent setters. They're very quiet and gentle. But now they do not like being held. They will come up and talk to you. I have one girl that wants me to pick her up out of all of our birds. But as a general rule, they don't like being held. They don't mind you talking to them. If you sit down, they will come up beside you. But they do not like being held. So if you're interested in a dual purpose bird that lays a lot of eggs, has excellent meat production, a nice disposition, this could be the breed you're looking for. They're hardy, they're easy to care for, great foragers. They take confinement better than some other larger breeds. What can you say about this black chicken breed? It pulls its own weight on the homestead. It's one of our two favorites. So if you're considering adding a new breed to your flock, I would really highly recommend the Black Australorp breed. Until next time, safe and happy journey.